On a low hill above the Dardanelles, there was a city with very good walls. Whether the war happened the way the poem says it did, nobody can prove. But the poem has outlived every city that ever stood on that hill. The Iliad is the older of the two Homeric epics. 24 books, close to 16,000 lines. And for all that length, it covers about 7 weeks. 10 years of war, and the poem walks into the 10th and never leaves it. It starts, the way these things do, at a wedding. A golden apple is thrown among the guests, inscribed, "To the fairest." Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite all claim it, and Zeus is far too clever to judge. So it falls to a Trojan prince keeping sheep on Mount Ida, Paris. Hera offers him power over men. Athena offers him victory in every battle. Aphrodite offers him the most beautiful woman alive. He takes the woman. The woman is Helen, and she is already married to Menelaus, king of Sparta. Paris takes her to Troy. Whether she was carried off or went willingly, the poem is careful never to settle. Years earlier, every man who had courted Helen swore an oath to defend whoever won her. That oath is now called in. It is the reason the whole Greek world sails. Agamemnon, brother of the wronged husband, takes command of the fleet. The wind refuses to blow. To buy it, he cuts his daughter's throat on an altar at Aulis. The poem does not dwell on that. It only lets you know what kind of man is in charge. 9 years of fighting later, the poem finally opens. And look at its first word, rage. Sing, goddess, the rage of Achilles. Not the war, not the city. One man's anger, and what it costs everyone around him. A priest of Apollo comes to the Greek camp to ransom his captured daughter. Agamemnon refuses him and insults him and sends him away. The priest prays. For 9 days Apollo shoots into the camp, and the dead burn in heaps. Forced at last to give the girl back, Agamemnon takes a different prize instead. He takes Briseis, the woman allotted to Achilles. It is not really about her. It is about which of them is worth more, said out loud in front of the army. Achilles reaches for his sword. A goddess stops his hand. So he does something worse. He withdraws and asks his mother to beg Zeus to let the Greeks lose. He wants his own side slaughtered until they understand what he was worth. The word the poem uses is menace. Elsewhere in Greek, it is reserved almost entirely for gods. It is not a temper. It is a grievance with a long memory, and it does not cool on its own. Meanwhile, the poem does something no war story before it had done. It goes inside the walls and makes you like the people there. Hector, the man holding Troy together, comes home between battles. His wife, Andromache, asks him to fight from the tower and not in the open where he will die. He says he cannot. He says he already knows the city will fall and she will be taken. Then he reaches for his son, and the baby screams, terrified by the horsehair crest on his own father's helmet. Both parents laugh. He takes the helmet off and holds the child and goes back out. Without Achilles, the Greeks lose ground for 9 books. Ambassadors come to his tent with gifts, an apology, the woman back, untouched. He refuses all of it. He says nothing is worth a life, and a life cannot be given back. The Trojans reach the beach. Hector puts fire to the Greek ships. Patroclus, the man Achilles loves most in the world, asks to borrow his armor. Just the armor. Let the Trojans think Achilles is back, and they will run. It works. They run. And then Patroclus does not stop when he was told to stop. Apollo strikes the helmet from his head. A Trojan spears him in the back. And Hector finishes him and takes the armor off his body. When the news reaches Achilles, he pours ash on his own head and makes a sound his mother hears at the bottom of the sea. She brings him new armor, forged by a god. And the poem stops the war for 130 lines to describe the shield. On it, a city at peace and a city at war. A wedding, a harvest, a murder trial, children dancing. Everything the fighting is keeping these men away from, hammered into the thing they will fight behind. Achilles goes back to the field, and what follows is not heroic. It is butchery. He kills until the river itself rises against him, choked with bodies. Hector waits outside the gate. His mother and father beg him from the wall to come inside. He stays because he was the one who insisted on camping in the open, and the dead are his fault. Then Achilles appears, and Hector's nerve goes, and he runs. 3 times around his own city, with his parents watching from the tower. Athena stops him by taking the shape of his brother and promising to stand with him. He turns. There is no brother. Hector asks, dying, that his body be returned to his parents. Achilles tells him he wishes he could eat him raw. He pierces the ankles, threads a strap through, and drags the body behind his chariot. He does it again the next day, and the next. 12 days around the tomb of Patroclus. The gods will not let the body rot. Even they have started to find this unbearable. And then the Iliad does the thing that makes it the Iliad. Priam, king of Troy, an old man, crosses the battlefield alone at night. He walks into the tent of the man who has killed his sons, and kneels, and takes his hands. He says, "Think of your own father. He is old like me, and he is waiting." And he says the line that stops the poem dead. "I have kissed the hands of the man who killed my children." Achilles weeps for his father. Priam weeps for Hector. They weep in the same tent. Then Achilles gives the body back and grants 11 days of truce for the funeral. The Iliad ends there, with a funeral, not with the horse, not with the fall. Everything you know about the end of Troy happens outside this poem. Achilles dies with an arrow in his heel, and the Iliad never mentions it. The horse is not in the Iliad either. It comes from the Odyssey and the lost poems after it. A hollow horse left on the beach, a staged retreat, a city that opens its own gates. 2 people say it is a trap, a priest and a princess who was cursed to be disbelieved. What happens that night is the part Greek writers kept returning to and never made glorious. Priam is cut down at his own altar. Hector's son is thrown from the wall. The women are divided as property, Andromache to the son of Achilles. 6 centuries later, Euripides put those women on stage and let them speak, and it is still the most damning thing anyone wrote about winning. So was there a war? There was certainly a city. Heinrich Schliemann dug into the hill at Hisarlik in the 1870s and hit it. He dug straight through the level he was looking for and announced he had found Priam's treasure. in a layer 1,000 years too old. There are 9 cities stacked on that hill. The one with the great sloping walls fell around 1300 BC. The one above it was crowded, fortified, and burnt around 1180, with slingstones in the streets and bodies left unburied. And Hittite tablets from the same centuries name a city in that place, Wilusa, and a king called Alexandru. Wilusa, Ilios, Alexandru, Alexandros, the other name the poem gives to Paris. None of that proves the poem. It proves the poem remembers something. What came after is one of the longest afterlives in literature. Aeschylus followed Agamemnon home and had his wife kill him in the bath. Euripides gave the defeated women the stage. In the middle of a war, Athens was losing. Virgil made a Trojan survivor the founder of Rome. So the losers won in the end. Shakespeare wrote it as a bitter comedy where nobody is admirable. Christopher Logue rebuilt it in modern English for 50 years without finishing. Alice Oswald stripped out the plot and kept only the deaths and the similes, and read it as a war memorial. The Iliad is not really about a war. Wars are the setting. It is about what men do to each other when they cannot back down, and what it costs to stop. Its last movement is not a victory. It is 2 enemies crying in a tent, and a body handed back. 3,000 years on, that is still the hardest thing in it.